All right, it is a cold, rainy day at the flea market, but that doesn't mean you can't still find some treasures. And this cracks me up because this brings me back to good old Sesame Street days. And it's the type of thing that, unless you have the knowledge of who this is, you're just gonna think it's some random puppet. But it's none other than the famous Roosevelt Franklin. Shout out to Stuart White from Franklin Hill Ventures. I used to always mess up and accidentally call him Franklin, and always we joked about Roosevelt Franklin. But this is actually from the 1970s. They're hard to find, and believe it or not, this hand puppet has sold for about $200 with shipping. And the cheapest you can find available online right now is about $175 or so. So the question is how much this puppet is. So let's see if we can find out. Excuse me, how much is the puppet? 25 for it? Would you do 20?
Sure.
20 bucks? All right, you got a deal. Thank you. Awesome. All right, so I just double checked, and the cheapest you could find Roosevelt Franklin available right now on eBay is $150 with shipping. Why do I always find these types of things? Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. This is such a funny find. I cannot believe I found a vintage Roosevelt Franklin puppet. I gotta send this to Stuart. Oh my God, check him out, Franklin Hill Ventures. Hilarious. What? Oh, it's Franklin Hill Ventures on YouTube. All right, we'll get going, let's go. And there's lots of lovely ladies at Primetime Treasure headquarters too. Oops, shut that off. Folks, you are not gonna believe this. Fast forward until later on the same evening that I sourced Roosevelt Franklin here, and I did some more research on the pictures, because remember I told you that the cheapest one available was for $150, that includes shipping. Well, when I looked at the pictures of that Roosevelt Franklin, and that was the only one that actually had the hands, because sometimes the hands are missing there. That one had rips all in the shirt, and as you could see, this Roosevelt Franklin does not have any rips in the shirt. So I priced it higher. I said, what the heck? I priced it for $190. This Roosevelt Franklin just sold for $175. Can you believe that, man? You are the man, Roosevelt Franklin. What a great flip on the same day. That is amazing. Talk about a diamond in the rough. I mean, wow. So yeah, so I just took a best offer. I said, what the heck, $175? You know, it's Christmas time, people spending up a little more. No way I'm passing that up. That was great. So you know, just a little bit more on Roosevelt Franklin, because I'm sure some people might be a little surprised at that. And I don't know how many of people out there know of Roosevelt Franklin. Like, you know of, you know, the more popular Sesame Street characters like Cookie Monster, Bert and Ernie, stuff like that. But Roosevelt Franklin was not in Sesame Street for very long. He was in Sesame Street in the early 1970s. Yes, early 1970s. And he was brought in as the African-American character. And you might think, what do you mean African-American? He's purple. But that was his character on the show. He had like a scat way in which he talked. Gordon was the one who voiced him on the show. There's actually a record out there about Roosevelt Franklin with Gordon on the cover. And so there are some other Roosevelt Franklin things out there to look for. And they brought Roosevelt Franklin on the show because at that time, one of the criticisms about Sesame Street was it was too white. But then there were some criticisms about how they portrayed the Roosevelt Franklin character, and he wound up being eased out of the show in like 1974-ish, and he had like one like cameo like later on, but they did make some Roosevelt Franklin items back then. This one came from 1973. So because of Roosevelt Franklin's scarcity in the show and the just the nature of his character, that's what leads to the value in him if you ever see him around. And it's funny because the people who were selling him, when I looked over, you know, they were old timers who I had a feeling that they just had no idea who this character was. And, you know, sure enough, I'm pretty confident that they did not grow up watching Roosevelt Franklin on Sesame Street. And so I pretty much figured I'd be able to get him at a good price. And so, you know, again, $20, I'm super thrilled. Now, Roosevelt Franklin, by the way, he has been amazing today. Not only has he provided great entertainment of value for this video, but he also helped me later on in the other day find something that was hidden under a Sesame Street item. So I'm going to show you that as well. He's a little bit bummed out that he doesn't get to spend more time with the lovely ladies back there. We got Betty Boop and the Hula Girl, you know, and he was hoping to get to spend a little more time with them. But I promised him he's going to go to a really nice, fun place that's really going to value him and enjoy him. So let's get him all packed up and let's see what Roosevelt Franklin helped me find later on in the day.
Hey, Roosevelt. I love those big eyes in your purple hands.
Oh my goodness, will you stop? I got to get him packed up before this situation just gets completely out of control. Let's get you back over here. All right, so Roosevelt Franklin was helping me out a little bit. He saw Big Bird over here, and Big Bird kind of gave him a wink and told him to tell me to look below. So we started moving some of the books below, and look what I found. James Whale's Frankenstein, the classic. This is the Film Classics Library book, which tells about this movie in detail. I love this movie, and just watched The Bride of Frankenstein the other night, which is another classic. It's actually probably one of the few instances where the sequel is better than the original movie. So definitely check out Bride of Frankenstein if you haven't. Well, look at this. This book is filled with so many classic images from the movie. I absolutely love the original Frankenstein. Yeah, Invisible Man is very good as well. Just saw that recently. I love all the old Dracula movies, so anytime I see these horror and monster things, memorabilia, I always look into it. And this one's in nice shape. It comes from 1974, and the great thing about it is that it is a first printing. It is only going to cost $2 to pick this up. So based on condition, I'd say this is probably around a $30 book. There's a hardcover version with a dust jacket out there. But a lot of people prefer the flexible version, this paperback, because it's a little bit easier to handle given the size of it. No jokes in the comment section, but we're gonna pick this one up for $2. I don't know, I guess this is the day of the Franks. Roosevelt Franklin and Frankenstein. What are the chances? All right, blast from the past right here. Check out this huge 22-inch cat shelf sitter. It's articulated at 8 different points. The shoulders, the elbows move. It's a really cool folk art primitive piece. Really neat. Look at that right there. The hips, the knees as well, all articulated. It's just such a cool item. And I got it for just $2 at one of my most popular videos. It's called Best Estate Sale Ever. I'll put a link to it up top. If you never saw, if you're new to the channel, definitely check it out. You'll see there that I sourced this one there for just $2 in this old country home. And I couldn't believe the price, but I think the reason that I got it for $2 is because there's a chip in the ear right here. Interestingly enough, I saw one that looked very similar to this one listed that also had a chip in the same area. Now, it wasn't manufactured like that. You could see that that's a pretty irregular chip there. But one of the things that I said in that video that made me pick it up, in addition to the great price, is that that chip blends in with other colors of the cat. So it doesn't make it stand out as much to me. In fact, it makes it look a little extra cool to me. So you know, cat stuff in general sells well on eBay, and shelf sitters are popular. So this is a combination of two of those things. It's selling around Christmas time, so it's November when I make this sale. I sold it for $49, so almost a $50 sale. I took a little bit off because of the chip, but you know, still flipping it from $2 into almost 50 is really good. So if you're wondering why this was sitting around for so long before I listed it, because I did make that video a while ago, you know, sometimes it just takes me a while to get to stuff, but eventually I do get to it. And I don't mind having these things sit around for a little bit and, you know, just kind of enjoying their presence. This one I had nicknamed Felix. So it's sad to see Felix go. But as you know, I have all sorts of other, you know, little friends that hang out with me for a while and then they go on their merry way, you know, like up here too. So, you know, that's just part of it when you're doing reselling. You can't get too strong of an emotional attachment to these items. But anyway, in general, as a tip, if you see cat items, shelf sitter items, you know, looking at picking them up because they're real popular. This is hand painted, by the way. So this one's going out the door. And here's a little tip for shipping, by the way. Fold those legs up like that so they're not as long, and that will save you shipping fees because you don't have to pay for shipping it in as big of a box. So fold it up when you can. All right, I cannot wait to show you this sale. This is something that I got at the flea market for 10 bucks. Now, I'm gonna have to pull them out of here because they are on the bottom of this stack here and it's in this red bag. So let me pull this red bag out of here and wait until you see what is inside of here. All right, well, let's do the grand reveal. What is inside of this bag? Here we go. Do you remember these guys? The 7 dwarves. There they are. And you can see as I squeeze it, there's some air that comes out of the bottom. And what these were used for were the bathtub. So you fill them up with water and squirt them out. And based on my research, these came out in about the 1950s. Now, if you go back to the original video where I found these at the flea market for 10 bucks, they were really dirty at the time. So what I had to do was throw each one in a bucket of water and then rinse them off and get them in this shape that you see here. Now, they still have some moderate wear to them, but you know, I was just open and disclosing that. I figured someone might want to use these as like a touch-up project, a restoration project. That's kind of how I pitched it. They're not complete, so I do have multiples of some of the dwarves. One I have 3 of, a bunch of them I have 2 of, and then there's one that I have 1 of, and I'm missing Bashful. So that is, you know, I guess both of those things, the condition of them and also not being complete and having a bunch of duplicates, you know, really took some time to get the right buyer, but eventually the right buyer did come along. I originally listed these for 100 bucks. Now, at one point, someone offered me 75. I tried to meet them in the middle, but they weren't having it. So I just had to wait. And eventually, I lowered the price a little bit. I lowered it to 90 bucks. And someone came in today and bought them for $90. So $10 flip into 90. I'm real happy. If you see these around, even if they're beat up a bit, you know, you might have to wait a bit like I did, but still eventually that $10 into $90 flip feels real good. So we'll get these packed up and on their way after they say goodbye to the Hula Girl and Betty Boops. Those are all listed, by the way, in my eBay store. Marilyn Monroe is gone. For those of you eagle-eyed fans, I did sell her. It was a tough breakup, but she had to go somewhere else at this point. So can't keep Marilyn for too long before she moves on. So anyway, let's get these packed up and on its way. Oh boy, I cannot wait to show you this item that sold right over here. Now, for those of you who've been following my channel for a while, you know that whenever I source Funko Pops, I get some sarcastic comments once in a while, people laughing and telling me I'm wasting my time and that Funkos don't sell and they're just like Beanie Babies. And I keep laughing back because I'm like, well, you know, you're just going to leave more of those around for me in the wild because they do sell. You just need to know which ones to get. And this is a perfect example. This is a Funko Pop of a Siamese cat that I just sold for $69.50. Almost $70 for this Funko Pop. Now you might be wondering why there's a Funko Pop of a Siamese cat, because the word pop is there to be associated with pop culture. So that's why you have, you know, a lot of Funko Pops are associated with, you know, certain lines of toys like My Little Pony, or certain movies like Cars or Frozen. These are all ones that I have listed right now, the ones on this top shelf. But as we saw with the prior item with the cat shelf sitter, people will pay up for things associated with their pets, and Funko knows this. So just as a general tip, I mean, not solely related to Funko, but if you could find something associated with a popular pet, look into picking it up if the price is right, because, you know, especially if you could associate it with a specific breed of cat. Like you could see here, there's a Maine Coon, a Calico cat, and then there's a Siamese. That was part of, you know, this particular cat series. They're very popular because they only keep them out for a limited time, and then it becomes a supply and demand issue, and, you know, people want one, especially, you know, if they have that type of cat, you know, if they're real close to the cat, or if they, you know, a family member or friend, it's a good gift item. And condition plays a big role. So you could find one of these for like mid $40 range, but, you know, a lot of times with the Funkos, they get damaged on the sides, or they get, you know, indentations in the plastic. So it's real important to, you know, try to keep these in great condition, because it will make the price go up. And that's what happened here. $69.50 sale. This is one of the Funkos I sourced in that video I made where I bought out Jesse's Giant, not Jesse Shops, but a different Jesse who follows the channel, bought out her entire Funko collection and her whole eBay inventory. If you didn't see that video, I'll put a link to it up top. Check it out. That definitely was a lot of fun. You would not believe how many Funkos were there. Not all of the toys you see up here are from that collection, but you know, a lot of them are. I source Funkos all the time from different people and different places, but this one was from that collection. So anyway, be on the lookout for Pets Funko Pops. All right, so let's head over to another sale, and this has to do with the Snake Mountain toy from 1983 by Mattel. You may remember me showing you this one in a recent flea market video. So I had picked this one up along with a Castle Grayskull. Now the Castle Grayskull sold for $130. Keep in mind that I got the Castle Grayskull, the Snake Mountain, and 2 books for $80. So sold the Castle Grayskull for $130, just sold this one for $155, and it's in working condition. So this microphone here, I showed in the video where I sourced it, it working, and you just put a, you know, battery inside, and it'll produce a reverb through here. I showed it in the video. So these two alone, total in terms of sales, is $295 on this and the Castle Grayskull. And this is a nice improvement compared to the last time I sold the Snake Mountain. Last time I sold the Snake Mountain before this one, it went for $112.50. So for this one to sell for $155, I'm real happy about that. Plus, in that deal, I got 2 books that are valued at about $90 or so. So it should be close to $400 in sales at the end of the day for an $80 pickup. So I'm very happy about that. Just goes to show, whenever you come across the Snake Mountains, pick them up. If you don't think that you could come across these Snake Mountains, you can. You just have to go, you know, to the right places. Flea markets, toy shows, you can find them. Garage sales every once in a while. In fact, let me show you something in terms of the availability of 1983 Snake Mountains. They are out there. Check this out. I recently found 2 more Snake Mountains to sell. Skeletor would be very proud. All right, I haven't even finished filming this video yet, and I can tell you right now that the items I'm going to show you here are going to be my favorite items from the video, because when I sourced these 2 items a couple of weeks ago, I could not wait to get my hands on these. Now, you might think that they're comic books, but they're not. These are folders. Folders from the 1980s. These are the Mead folders. Check these out. This is amazing. So it mimics the comic book cover right there. And there you go. You open it up and you have got your folder. And there is the back of it too, where it has one of the strips. Now, I not only have one of these, but I also have a second one here with the Avengers number 141. Look how cool that is. We'll open that up and you could just feel the age on this when you open it. You see it has a little bit of yellowing in there. It's got some comic strips on the bottom, which is cool. There's your Mead right there. That's so amazing. Look at the back of this. Now, these were just a throw-in as part of the comic book collection that I purchased. I saw these laying around and I said to the person, hey, do you mind just throwing these in? And funny, because the collection that this came from, the person was using these folders to hold some valuable comic books. And the person who was selling them wasn't really even thinking about the folders, you know, just really more thinking about the comic book. So, but I knew that there would be a collector who would pay up for these. I sold both of these together for $80. $80 for 2 folders. So if you're not looking out for the old Mead folders, whether they're comic book strips on them or not, anything pop culture from the 80s, oh boy, pick them up. I really have fond memories of things like this. I used to love picking out my folders for school, you know, when I was a kid. And I'm wondering which ones people who are watching this had when they were kids. What kind of folders, guys and girls? Let me know, guys and gals. My favorite ones were the Garbage Pail Kid folders. I love those, and I used to like to collect them. So this is a big treat. You're not going to see something like this come up too often, but if you do, you know, definitely jump on it. All right, quick little sales update for everybody here on a flea market purchase you saw in a recent video. I got all of these My Book House books for $20 and just sold them for $92.50. So I had $100 on it and wound up taking a best offer. This is the complete set plus 1 extra. I'll link to the video if you want to go back and see more about when I originally sourced these if you missed it. The one new tip I want to pass on to you for now comes courtesy of Mama Mia Couture, who follows the channel, and she's always in the comment section, who commented that she actually had this same book set and she sold it on Etsy for $150. And I didn't realize that on Etsy you could do well selling vintage books there. So I probably should have listed them there, but you know what? $20 into $92.50. It sold pretty quick. I'll take it. But it's a good tip from Mama Mia. Make sure you look into Etsy if you know, you have some old books and eBay's not your thing. That's another alternative place. All right, good sale on this one though. All right, so we are going to head over to our comic boxes again and pop off the top of this one, and I'm going to show you something here that's a nice big lot of 65 comics plus 2 annuals that just sold for $150. And this comic title is Impulse, and that's the character right there. And if he looks familiar to you, you might recognize him as looking a little similar to the character Flash. And that's because he's basically a junior counterpart of the Flash character and has also been known as Kid Flash, or a second version of Kid Flash. This is not a character that I'm interested in at all, really. I just don't relate to the character. So I'm very happy to sell, there's Flash right there, and get these comic books out of Primetime Treasure headquarters. I obtained them from the video where I purchased that guy's 30-year comic book collection. There were 50,000 comics that I got in that U-Haul for, it was about $8,000 or so, $8,500. And yeah, so I still have a lot of those books left, and I made all my money back on them, selling on eBay and selling on whatnot. And so, you know, at this point, these comic books just wind up being all profit, and I don't mind selling them for a bulk lot price like this. Now 65 issues. There is one issue in here that is missing, but there's a total of 87 of these comic books for the series. And normally, if there was just one issue missing, I would go out and purchase it for a couple bucks just to complete the set. But since it only had the first 65 missing one issue, it didn't make sense to me to go out and purchase that other one, because, you know, whoever bought this would still need to get the rest of the issues up to number 87. So the point of me telling you this is that if you have, you know, a lot of comics from the same title that are mostly consecutive, you have one missing, but there's still a bunch left, you don't have to go out and buy, you know, 10, 20 comics or so to complete it. Someone else will just purchase a bunch of them as long as you give them at a, you know, a good bulk rate, and then they'll just go on a, you know, a kind of their own treasure hunt to try to find the rest of them, and they'll have fun doing that. So 65 comics, $150 out the door, and don't worry, I will fill this empty space once we get this box out of here. I will fill it with more comics that are already listed, so we got plenty to choose from. All right, well, that didn't take long. That's just a few seconds later, and it's already loaded back up with listed comics in my eBay store. So it's just a never-ending process. All right, so for our next sale, we're gonna head over to this area of PTHQ, and you can see I have these 3 boxes stacked one on top of another. These are Avalon Hill games. You could see it says that there on the bottom of the box. These are vintage games that are military strategy games based on actual wars, such as World War II. I bought out a big lot of Avalon Hill games. Originally, they were stacked up pretty high, along with a bunch of other role-playing games, all of which were vintage. The one that's sold here is called Crescendo of Doom, this middle one, and it's sold for $60. There's a subset of game players that love these realistic war military strategy games. I'm going to pull this one out, and I'm going to show you what it looks like inside, so you have a better sense of what to look for. All right, so here's the game, Crescendo of Doom, and just to give you a sense of the size of the box right there, and we'll take the lid off, and what you're going to notice here are a bunch of die cut counters, and these die cut counters, they represent the military in terms of the troops and the different types of weaponry that are used, and there's rule books that help to guide the gameplay. You can see there's information here on how you would configure the board in certain ways, and the board is based on these different maps that you could unfold, and they're pretty big. I'm not going to unfold them all here, but you know, basically it lets you, you know, lead these different squadrons and battalions around the battlefield, and you could basically represent and replicate scenarios from real wars, and you could change, you know, the outcomes of what actually happened. So the wars don't have to end the way that they did in real life. You know, you could simulate it, and then they could end in different ways, and you could play all sorts of different countries and stuff. So you know, people love, like I said, no, some people, not all people, but some people love these types of games. And so $60 sale, all profit on this from the collection, because you know, I've made my money back from the lot at this point. So this one will go on its way, and I've got a couple more left in my eBay store. And Betty Boop approves. Well, that was a lot of fun. The Roosevelt Franklin puppet was my favorite item by far. But if I had to pick a runner-up, it would be the Marvel folders. I really love the art on those, the colors, and the nostalgia. It really brings me back to that time when I used to use those folders when I was younger. So let me know what your favorite items were that I found. Feel free to pick some runner-ups. I love seeing that in that comment section, what you picked over the whole course of the video. These videos hopefully are entertaining and educational for people, and giving people some ideas of some things to source when you're out there in the wild looking for stuff to flip for a profit in many different categories. So you know, there's people watching these videos who've been reselling for 20 years or more. There's people in here for 10, 5 years reselling, people just starting out, and some people who don't resell at all, but they just find the videos interesting and maybe get some ideas of some things laying around the house that you didn't realize had value. And now you say to yourself, I could maybe list these online and sell them and make a nice profit on them, and maybe start a little side hustle, a little side business. So I've actually had people tell me that over the years that I've had the channel, that this video helped inspire them to resell. So if you have a story like that to share, let me know in the comments. I always love reading those as well. There's over 1,000 videos on the channel. Most of them are public, but there are some that are members only. So remember to check out the members only side of the channel. Members only videos are available for all levels of membership. And I just put up a brand new members only video called Stop the Madness. It talks all about how to identify and deal with overload of inventory, which is something that pretty much all resellers deal with, encounter at some point in their reselling career. So check it out. Lots of good tips in that video. And I'm probably going to put another members only video up pretty soon as well. So wait, I got to stop. What? Is that Daisy calling? Oh my God. She said Gizmo's here. I've got to get upstairs. I got to open the door, and I've got to let her see Gizmo. And I know a lot of you have wanted to see Gizmo. We haven't seen him in a while, so we'll see if we could get a shot of him. So all right, let's get up there and open the door for Daisy. Hey Daisy, who's that? Is that Gizmo? Is that Gizmo? Look at her. Is that Gizmo? Look at her hair when she stands up. Is that Gizmo? Is that Gizmo? Oh, it's Gizmo. Say hi to your boyfriend. Tell him Merry Christmas. Jeez. Bye, Gizmo.